All right, so what we have come up a little bit here, let me go back to my intro screen, is can a brokerage require a landlord to list with them at the end of the management agreement? So you have a management agreement for a rental, and in that, and I've actually seen this in rental agreements too, where they'll say rental for listing, and they'll say, hey, if you sell this while we're on the market, then you have to list with me. Or if you decide to sell once this is over, then I have to be the listing agent. So what is y'all take on that? What do you think about that? Did you even know such a thing existed out there? No? Okay. All right, got it. Okay. So what we have out there is some folks will come in and say, yeah, Scott, you want to put your 2 bits worth in on it?
I just got in. I don't know
Oh,
what
okay,
you were
yeah.
talking
Can a
about.
brokerage require a landlord to list with them at the end of management agreement or in the listing
Wait,
agreement
Anthony,
of
are
a
you
rental?
sharing screen?
Yeah. Do y'all see it?
Because we don't see it.
There,
Mm.
Okay, got it. Here we
so
go.
Anthony, I think back in the day there was in the listing agreement with the landlord, there was a paragraph that said if the tenant is going to purchase the property,
Hmm.
the listing agent would be charging that particular commission. It was agreed upon, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think it's an agreement.
That's a good point. That's not actually what I was looking at, but let me take a look at it. The main question for the day is if I'm your management company, can I require you to use me as as the listing agent to sell?
I mean, if they have that
Huh?
in their
Yeah.
if they have that in their own agreement, then sure.
Right. Um,
Unless it's prohibited by statute as public policy, that would
right,
be
and that's
totally
that's what I'm
understandable.
looking at here is what does the statute say? Let's see here. Lease. You guys brought up a really good exclusive right to lease. There we go.
I know it's not in there anymore, but it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's there anymore. And that's why, is because we were like, you're tying them to something that's not even real there. But we had a document come up where we have an agent that or an owner who wants to use us and but the broker, the owner has a management agreement. So my take on this is there's nothing in the code that states one agreement cannot require the use of future services, but no agreement can be in perpetuity is the thing. There has to be a deadline. So if you don't have a deadline stipulated, any agreement that you have with a buyer or a seller or a landlord or a tenant expires in 90 days. Now, this one in particular that we're looking at, and the owner sent it over to our agent, shows that there's no deadline of the management agreement, but it says that anybody can get out with a 30-day notice. So since there's no deadline in this person, then it's an agent that has a management company and they got their own management agreement. It's not the NVAR management agreement. So it says, and if you go to sell, you'll use me. Well, you're forcing someone to agree to something that's not in writing. I'm agreeing to say that I'll go with you, but you're wanting me to agree to another agreement that we haven't even signed off on. You see what I'm saying, y'all? That's kind of where it comes from. So there's nothing in the code that states that. And then I would also say they have to have a definite end date and termination date automatically terminate if that date is reached. So if you have a date for a management of, 12 months, the end of that 12th month, that agreement's over. You must sign it up again. And it's not just hey, we'll just keep on going. You can't really do that. So, and finally, an open-ended obligation like owner agrees to list the property for sale with broker whenever it is sold in the future. Yeah, I think it fails the test of I am going to be done with this on a certain date. So the one that they have right now that we're looking at, because of what the code says, it's over, and they just continually to move forward with it for however long they've been renting it. So I think that the person's agreement doesn't really pass that test, and so we're kind of at a point where, well, can I help them? And I would say yes, you can. But to get out of that agreement completely, the owner landlord would need to say, hey, I'm canceling this now. Here's my 30-day notice. But technically, by the code, it's already done. Regardless of what he wrote there, there's no deadline. And the code says 90 days. This is a thing we're running into more and more. And I appreciate you guys coming to me and Sheila and Steve, when you get these things, this just doesn't pass the smell test. And then we look into it, and sure enough, people are doing things they think are okay that aren't by the law. And so that's what we have to make sure that we are following that. Any questions on this particular question? Comments?
I just say the other thing is with a rental management agreement that has that kind of language that supposedly you'll um, have to use us if you sell. That in and of itself is not a listing representation agreement.
Right.
And so you could, as a brokerage or an agent under the brokerage, get into problems if that's the sole basis for you saying
Mm-hmm.
you are representing them. It's like, I don't know that you actually are.
Right. Right. And you can't say TBD on the
Right.
deadline. The,
Because
the law says you can't do that, whether
all
y'all
that
want to or
language.
not. Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry, Anthony. Go ahead, please.
No, that was it. I was just going to say the law says you can't keep it in perpetuity. There's got to be a deadline. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's that one. That was came up yesterday. Seller cannot provide a clear title. Now what? Shannon's like jerking her head around. This used to be clear in the Virginia contract, and now it's not. David called me. That's who I was taking the call from. He's like, "Yeah, you just pointed out the problem with our with our contract, and it used to be there. If you didn't have clear title, you got this many days to clear it up. And on this one, it's Maryland, and Maryland has this language in there. Thank goodness that says, "Hey, if you can't get it clear with a lien." And then the seller can't get it done. They give the buyer the option to move forward or get out first. And then if the buyer won't make that decision, then the contract's just null and void. So that's what happens there when they can't get clear title. I think I have some more language on this. Yeah. The contract, Maryland and Virginia contracts require that the seller provide a clear title to the buyer, and if not, that is a voidable event. In Maryland, it clearly states it in paragraph 49. Yeah, I know, a lot of paragraphs. And then Virginia, it's assumed that the contract is null and void. I got an asterisk here because my attorney friend just told me, well, it's not as clear as we'd like it to be. And he said that you could argue it's voidable. Why could you argue that it's voidable? Does anyone know why you could argue that?
Impossibility of performance.
That's it. Bang. Period. I cannot perform what I agreed to because I've got these liens on it. And so the buyer would have to say, I'll take it with the liens because where do liens, who's responsible for the lien? Yeah. I can't hear you if you're speaking, anybody.
Who's responsible for the lien, you said?
Yeah. Who's responsible for the lien?
Isn't it the seller?
Doesn't it go with the property?
Thank you.
Oh, that's
Marty.
right. You're right. Duh.
It is true. It's the seller, but it stays with the property.
Right.
And so if they, some of these where you see buying them as is, you gotta be careful with the as is. Make sure that title company, like a foreclosure or off market or something, have that title company. And Shannon, you can talk to this. You're gonna look at that title, and it is only liens that have been recorded. Am I right on that?
Mhm.
Yeah. So what's the process you can go through to help them figure that out?
I mean, we pull a title search
Yeah.
and see what's been attached to the property.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, at that point,
Right.
we start to clear, but
And that's what affects the contract is I have this title. I got these liens. This one's an inherited property, not inherited, but it's an estate. So the seller, he's like, I'm not going to, I mean, but he's actually willing to come to the table with $500 of his own money to make it happen. And so this is in Maryland, and we're trying to get it all cleared out. And if everyone plays, we'll go to closing today. If not, the contract's null and void at the last minute because the title company, it's a title company in Maryland that the buyer uses, the seller buyer agent who has no attorney, loving that. And they're like, I mean, they're getting plenty of cash. This buyer's getting 3% closing cost assistance. And if the buyer agent would be willing to come down to 1.5%, bang, we can go to closing. But that's where we are. And we're taking money off the table too. So anyway, no title means no deal. Usually. A buyer could take it and go figure it out and take all that risk on themselves, but it's not advisable. Hey, Trish, thanks for joining us. I just did not Trish. It's not Trish that I had the discussion with. It was someone else, and she's not here. Okay. I was going to talk about what we discussed about a property management agreement. Can they force you to sell with them? Okay. Has anyone gone and seen the NVAR escalation contract thing? Has anyone seen that? Anyone aware of the escalation addendum? Not addendum, the escalation calculator from NVAR?
I
Are
am
you
now.
talking about the Excel spreadsheet sort of thing?
Yes.
I have it open. I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, great. We're going to review this. So
Yay.
the thing is now, I just want to say they call it in NVAR world the escalation addendum, not addendum, escalation calculator. If you go to their site, that's what they're going to talk about. Okay. So I want to show you how to get there because what it is, it's actually a download. All right. So you're going to go to nvar.com. Y'all can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
All right. You're going to go to membership dashboard. And from membership dashboard, now I'm logged in. Okay. So when you go to membership dashboard, it's going to say log in. You're going to have a different screen here. But you scroll down and it's right here. It's the escalation addendum calculator. You click it and you got to read all this stuff. And then you click it again and you click. Look what's happening here. You're getting a download. You see, I've done it 6 times now.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you're getting then is a spreadsheet. Let me get over here. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. And it looks kind of like, what the heck? Why is this all black? Well, it's black if you have nothing in it. So I'm going to just pull in the initial offer price. Let's say it's 950, and then let's say offer 2 is 925. Oops. And then this let's say the property price is 950, okay?
Holy.
All right. Seller paid buyer's brokerage compensation type. First thing you got to do is pull down what's the type. Usually, we're talking it is a percentage, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to put that in there. Now I'm going to put how much. This guy wants this amount. This person wants this amount. And this person wants this amount.
No, can you
Okay?
change the 925 to 2.5 and then the 965 to 3? Well, that way it's more realistic, right?
Okay.
No, both
Oh,
of the first two
this one?
versions. Yeah, just that one will be a 3.
Okay. And
It's a
these are
much
two and a
higher
half?
sale price.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm
That's
being
more real.
picky.
Why is this more realistic?
I figured
'cause
you
you
were
said
doing
the
that because
offer
you had
price
that
was-
situation.
Right. I mean, this is a low ball. 925 is 25,000 below list.
Okay. Yeah.
So if escalation comes into play, maybe we should increase that price.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right. We
So
will
maybe,
just, yeah. So stay with me. Here we go. I'm
yes.
not going to go in for the seller subsidy. That's okay. So it does the same thing though. What's the type? You know, is it a percentage or is it flat? Seller subsidy has a flat amount you put in here. Now, what's my escalation maximum sales price? I'm willing to go to 980. Okay. This guy at 950. This guy is willing to go to 975. And this guy is willing to go to 990. Okay. I'm just pulling this out of my hat here. All right. What's the increment increase? He's going to go 5,000. This guy's going to do
10.
3,000.
Oh,
And this
Do
person's
one
going
like
to do,
do one 1,500 because
yeah,
agents do not
right.
think material
So we're going to see
difference
where we go
in
from
price.
here.
what is this in
Offer.
Woodbridge? I'm kidding.
So then, but you see what's happening down here with all the inputs I'm putting in here? The bottom, get rid of this thing on the top.
Calculating already.
Yeah, it's calculating immediately, showing you without having to go back and forth. This is the winner, and it's the winner because it's green. All right. So we're seeing that by putting in, so look at this 965. This person wants 3%. They're willing to go to 990 in 1,500 increments. They started at 965, the escalation formula, and bang, they win at 986, 598 because they're $1,500. The net is what you're looking at here. And so what's the final net? The final net has to be $1,500 over the 955.5. These are yellow to show what the green beat. Okay? Because you have to show them what you beat. So the 957 is the 1,500 over the 955.5, which gives you the price of 986,598. So that's why even though he's beating them by 1,500, he has to escalate $6,598 to do it because he's also asking for a 3% commission. And this is the agent comp. He's making 30 grand and getting his property, getting his buyer the property because he was willing to go higher on the price. Any questions?
I have a comment, or
Okay.
maybe it's not even a comment. I know you had your own or your own spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Have you ran this particular scenario against yours just to double check and verify that the calculator is actually, or that they're meeting in the same thing? Or can we
I have
maybe do
not.
this exercise?
I have not.
Okay.
And that's a good question. I will do that. But let me show you what I would have to be doing with mine. See this number down here, the 986? I'd have to be physically doing it to get up to the 1,500. So this has formulas in it that get it to that number easier. But you're right. I am going to take this and check it on mine, which is a very simpler spreadsheet, to see if we come up with the same number. And if not, I'm going to find out why.
Yeah, so
But
I would challenge you to cover the bottom.
yeah,
Anything below the offer price formula, cover
yeah,
that and just use the offer price, the
right.
compensations and the escalations and the increments and see
Hmm.
what numbers you come up with.
Yeah,
Um, and then compare them later, be like
yeah.
what happened
Because
here.
they're saying this is a calculator. I think everyone's expecting us to see a calculator and then it comes up as a spreadsheet. So you
Right.
have to kind of put the numbers in here. But let's say that this guy wanted to seller paid buyer's brokerage, compensation, seller subsidy type. Let's say that we want a flat fee of seller subsidy type, and what I want is $10,000. Boom, it switches.
Hmm.
Now he goes all the way to 990 and he still loses. He goes to his 980, so it's $10,000 less than the 990, But because of the compensation and the $10,000 fee, see the final seller subsidy, 10,000, the compensation 29, the net is raised in this first column because he's only asking for 24,500. This guy's asking for 39,700. Where this has come up for discussion has been with sellers not grasping that we're beating the net, not the price. Okay. And it's also come up with agents who don't know what they're doing. So, but boom, you know.
I guess I'm confused about this. Why does the third offer number 3 still show the final escalated price is 990?
Because he still has to go up to 990 to beat this guy, to try to beat this guy out. So he does escalate to 990.
Well, how would he ever escalate to 990 when they're only going up by what, 1,500?
Well, he's doing 1,500 and he's saying, I won't go any higher than 990. So for the calculator to work, we have to take him all the way up to 990.
But
But
he
since,
wouldn't escalate that way. The maximum amount he could escalate was 1,500 over 980, which is the maximum
I
escalation
agree.
price of number one.
well, but 1,500 over 955, 500.
No,
However, what's happened
it's
is he's got $39,000 he has to take into account that this guy doesn't have. See,
okay. So here's the
that's the
problem.
yeah, that's the difference. Go ahead.
Here's the problem with this. So I've got 3 offers. One maxes out at 980, one 975, and one 990. So offer 3, their maximum escalated sale price before you factor in subsidy or buyer agent compensation at most could be 981,500.
Mhm.
Correct.
So why is
$1,500 more, the increment.
Yeah, so why would it be
990
990 at the bottom right?
Because in the new world of the escalation addendum, we are escalating the net. And so he says, you want your net to beat out this guy over here. Your net doesn't beat out this guy over here because you've got $39,700 worth of concession from the seller. So I max him out because he wants.
So in other words,
It's not the
before you
price, it's the
apply-
net.
Yeah, but before
it's
you
the net.
apply any escalation amount, you take the original offer price less any seller subsidy, less buyer agent compensation, and that's a net price.
If I understand you correctly, that is correct.
And then you start applying each party's escalation factor up to their maximum.
Yes, because you're escalate. Remember, everyone on this call, I believe, except for Malik. Way to go, Malik. This is making sense to you more than us.
Mhm.
We have all escalated the price for the last
Yeah,
30 years.
I'm trying to understand really hard.
Okay. But what's happened, Malik, is that we're having to shift the way we're escalating. You're learning it the right way right up front. We now are all escalating the net to seller, this line 29 here. This is what we're escalating. Used to be we escalated the price. Because why? In the old way of MLS, what was the same?
Compensation was all the same.
They all were 2.5. Or 3 or 2.25 or whatever, however many bananas they all were the same because that's what the brokerage was offering. The only difference that happened was when someone was asking for seller
Closing
subsidy.
cost. Mm-hmm.
Then
Or
it
paying
changed it.
for termite inspections or
Right.
whatever.
Or home inspection
Warranties.
or warranty. Then it changed. But if no one was doing that, then the only thing that changed was the price, and we escalated the price. And then when they converted it to your compensation is whatever you put in your contract. I mean, let's put like 2.75 in here. He's still winning, but his price is still 980. He's winning because this guy won't go higher than 990. That's why he's winning. Okay.
I still
don't get it.
I'm trying, because I don't see how if offer 1, their maximum escalated sale price is 980. And you're calculating net. So 980 less, there's no subsidy amount, and you're less buyer agent compensation. So that's their net. And
Right.
then you start applying applying escalation factors on that. So the maximum amount that property can escalate up is to 880. I don't see how, and maybe I'm just not seeing this correctly, how you get offer number 3 to their maximum escalation amount when offer 1 and 2 max out on their escalation, because once you calculate the net from their initial offer price less subsidy less buyer agent compensation. So
Here you
offer
go.
number 1 goes up by $5,000 increments from whatever their
Yes.
net is. The most it could go up to would be 980 because they've said that's their maximum escalation price.
Right. Let's see what happens if he drops the seller subsidy. Now he wins. See, remember, it's almost like what I need to ask all these offers to do is tell me what's my net. That's what I need to ask them. Forget the price. What's the net? Because that's really what we're negotiating here. That $10,000 seller subsidy brings him back up. He brings his price down $6,000 because he took away the 10,000. Did y'all see what I just did there? Here's the $10,000 concession. Boom. It switches over to this other person.
I guess I don't understand how asking for $10,000 concession brings the price to $990, removing the $10,000 compensation decreases the price to
Yeah.
$984. To me, it makes no sense.
But all right, it's almost like, okay, here we go. This is what we're talking about. Forget the price. If you came in and just had to show me what the net was, who would win? Y'all tell me.
Offer
Speak
number
up.
3, of course.
Right. But what's happening is I think we're getting wrapped
And look
up
at that.
with
It's now, that
$1,500
bottom
more
line,
than the other
we're
one.
getting wrapped up with this number here on the bottom, when in reality, the number that's important is this one here.
agreed.
It's
Yes,
the net.
yes, but remember, when we have escalation, we have to fill out the escalating price because that's, at the end of the day, that's the price that the buyer is paying,
Exactly.
and we have to make sure it's calculated appropriately.
Okay. So let me,
Anthony, let me ask you a question on that same
yeah.
line. So I just had one that I escalated 50,000 over the asking price. I lost it by 10,000. Do I have a right to go back to the agent and get to see their calculations?
I would. I mean, you've got the contract. You should have gotten the contract that you lost to. Can y'all see this, the escalation addendum?
Yeah, they didn't
Yes.
send that to me. Should they have sent that?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
required.
Oh, yeah.
Right
Wait,
here.
wait, no. If you're the losing contract, why?
Oh, if you're the losing. No,
Yeah, I
you're
was
not.
I
losing.
mean, Gary lost out on this offer. He's
No,
not
losing, you
privy
don't have
to.
to. Right. Thank you. It's not the losing, it's the winner.
Right.
The seller
Right, so I
shall
guess-
provide.
I guess the question is, Gary brought up a great point. How do we actually make sure that when we are representing buyer, that the listing agent is calculating this correctly?
That's my point, because
Yeah.
I mean, we all got screwed because
my
of
net
this.
could have been better than their net.
True. That's where I think you have an obligation there. And that's what I like about this is, what could I do? I could submit this along with the contract and say, there's the calculation. That's what I like about this. The yellow is the one that lost. The green is the one that won. Okay.
So
'Cause
you're
they-
saying, as the listing agent, you would submit this
I'm going to start doing
to,
that. Yes.
to everybody?
No, not to everybody, just the one that I had to use that lost.
Okay.
Because that's what the escalation addendum says. It says, here's my net. So in an amount which generates a net equal to blank. What is that? The $5,000 more. Okay. Above any other offer, not to exceed a maximum of what? 980 here.
Hmm.
So you put that in there. I'm not going to waive. I'm going to retain the appraisal. Did I win? Yes, I won. Why? Because this guy wanted 10,000. He wanted 10,000 more. So it's interesting. This guy that was in the lead is now second to this guy.
So this is really helpful to explain to the sellers and actually share with the seller of, yeah, the higher price is actually not getting you a higher net, right?
Right.
Because that was in one of my latest listings. That was the confusing part where, the compensation was different, and my client was like doing all sorts of calculations herself, and she's like, I'm not getting it. Like,
Right.
this just does not make sense where what
Right.
these numbers are landing.
Yeah. I mean, I know it can be definitely confusing. And if people aren't used to a net sheet like this, they're going to say, I don't get it. Now, let me do one other thing here. Let's say that there's no escalation and this guy's just going straight to 990 or 999,000. What's my price? 999,000.
Well, aren't you putting maximum escalation 0?
I am because he's
Well, you
not
have
asking for any.
999.
Yeah. So oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I got to do that or not.
Well, let's,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need to do that.
okay,
So
good.
I'm just saying I'm offering 999. I want 3%. My buyer wants 10 grand. Boom. I win. And I don't have any escalation to even, I just
Even
have a
20
net.
grand,
Huh?
even 20 grand will be the best offer.
Yeah. The question then is if I'm starting my price at 950, am I going to am I going to appraise?
Appraise. If there's no appraisal,
If he waives it.
contingency, who
Yeah.
cares?
All right, so Anthony, let's go back to that show, the one you just showed. All right, so let's say that number three is my offer, but I want an appraisal on the property before I agree.
Yeah.
And you have offer number two, and you're the only guy that says, I don't care. I mean, just we'll buy it whatever the appraisal comes in. So
Yeah.
now how do you weigh that against? And as the listing agent, you think it's never going to appraise at 999.
No,
What do you
I
do?
would, yeah, I've actually faced that situation and the lower offer won
I agree.
because we knew I'm not going to get that higher offer who needs an appraisal. I'm just
Okay.
not going to get it. And when the one that won, very smart, it was a realtor who knew that market and she's buying it with her daughter. And they gave us a good escalation and it came in, I think like 20,000 under their price, but they waived the appraisal. And she says, Anthony, we both know. I said, I know we both know, but and you knew, and we both know this is what you said you would do if it came in low. And she goes, I know. I just thought I would ask. I was like, okay. So we got her price, but it was like $40,000 less than the guy that I'd gone with. If he said, I like this price, I'll give you all this money, but I got to have an appraisal, we would have come down 20 grand under what the other one had that was a lower price, but waived the appraisal. And that was that's a judgment
Thank
call.
you.
That's not a spreadsheet call.
I should know this answer and I don't. So I have a listing that's coming up probably today or tomorrow. The owner already had the house appraised.
Hmm.
It appraised 40,000 more than he's asking for the house.
Yeah.
I've seen the appraiser. Do I have to disclose that?
No.
Okay.
Now it
That's
sucks
your
for you, Gary,
information.
because now your seller
Yeah.
wants $40,000 more.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any more on this? Are we good with this?
It occurs to
I would
me,
submit to you, download this, get out a listing and play around with it, and then you'll understand how it's working.
it occurs to me, this is from NVAR, so it has, some imprimatur of credibility.
Yeah.
This could be a useful negotiating tool where you've got, let's say in Gary's situation, you've got one with an escalation clause and let's say one not. And the one not would lose, but you like the non-escalating offer for non-price reasons. You could
Yeah.
use this rather than you verbalizing
Yeah.
saying, hey, just using this spreadsheet from NVAR, if we just do straight escalation, your client loses. Could you do, remove the 10,000 subsidy?
Yeah. We like your
Um,
terms better. You're losing right now. Look at this.
and it's not just kind of making up stuff on the back of an envelope, at least. I mean, it's still garbage
Right.
in, but it's more formal. So I think
Right.
that it has credibility associated with it.
Right. So I hope this helps explain it a bit. There's some really good discussion here to explain the connection between this spreadsheet and um I don't know where my form went.
I noticed, couldn't help but notice the entire page of disclaimers for NVAR and how it's for
Yeah.
educational use only
Yeah.
and such.
Click here. You read this, right? Yeah.
So what does
So,
that mean? That it might not be correct?
That they're basically saying if it's not correct, it's not our fault. I haven't read it, but
yeah.
my guess is that's exactly what it's saying. Because that's why they also put for educational purposes only.
Yeah. I think what you do is, and this is what I would do, lay it out here on what they're saying and then just run the numbers myself on the right side. I know when they did this, this is NVAR trying very hard to give us a tool for a lot of folks that just start not, they don't grasp the whole, let me have a different number there and a different number here. I get where they're coming from. And this seems, I've not heard any complaints about it yet in the Facebook sphere. So, and as long as no one, I would, if you ever have an issue, then you need to go in here and download a new version or something if you're getting some weird stuff. Because there's a lot of coding in here that I have no idea what it means. Like, look at that
Mhm.
up here. B16 equals flat, B18, comma, B30, asterisk, B17. I have no idea what that means.
You
It's
know,
just
you could
coding.
you could also use this. Let's say you've got, offer number
Hmm.
3 wins,
Yeah.
using an escalation clause. You
Hmm.
could show your work here and say,
Yeah.
look, we don't want to deal with the hassle of escalation clauses. We'll ratify, exclude the escalation clause. Here's the
Right.
number, and try to avoid, issues associated with, are these numbers
Yeah.
correct? Is the back end calculation correct?
Right. I mean, if nothing else, I mean, here's the thing about the escalation clause. I appreciate the escalation clause. Just because you have an escalation clause in their package doesn't mean that you have to use it. Meaning, I've got 4 offers and the highest one is doing X or the second highest one is doing X. And here's what I want. I'm not going to implement their escalation clause. I'm just going to counter to them. Because with an escalation clause, you just sign off on it and you're ratified. But maybe you're like, you know what? We're not going to play around with the escalation clause. I'm just going to say 995 flat out and put that on my contract, send it over to them, cross this out. Are you good with 995? So that's another thing around all of this is like find a number that's there, forget the calculation, go with their number and say, we see that you'll go to 990, but we're happy to do 980 with you. And so we're just counting you at 980. You don't have to use that escalation clause. Does that make sense to everybody as a listing
Things,
agent?
are you saying still run the calculator or
Yeah.
whatever is run this
Mhm.
and
Yeah. See this guy at 995? That's his price on the right side.
hmm
And this person at 980,
hmm
it's $15,000 difference.
hmm
We're only talking like $2,000 in the net.
Mhm.
I just go to the other guy, say, I got a price higher than that. I'm just going to counter you at 985 and forget the escalation clause. Are you willing to do 985? And I've
on
done
which
that
offer? Which
on
offer
the
would you
on
be
the
talking?
offer one. Let's
Mhm.
say that I like offer one because they've
985.
waived, yeah, and the offer one's waived other stuff. They're not having a home inspection or whatever, but by escalation, they're losing because this guy's willing to go to 990. This guy's willing to go to 995. And I'm like, you know what? It's 15 grand difference. Can you stretch another 5,000 to make me happy? Because right now I'm only making $2,000, not barely $2,000 more with a $15,000 higher price. If I get 985, I'm even going to feel more comfortable with the appraisal.
Well, and the other benefit of this, talking to your seller client, if you calculate this, they, again, humans see the top end number, 995 versus 980, but you run this and you say, hey, there's really less than $2,000 difference. Offer number one has non-price terms you like, and they may say, well, let's just accept number one instead of, doing the counter to 985.
Right.
But you've got numbers here to share with your client to show what net is.
Right. Because then what I could do, I can still send this formula over. I can still send this over to the yellow one and say, I want to show you, we're happy to take you at 980. We want 985, but I'm showing you where you stand. You're the yellow box. And they go, oh, okay. So 985 will do it. 985 will do it. We're in.
Yeah,
And
but I mean,
now,
if I was the buyer's agent or the buyer, I'd be like, well, why am I going over?
yeah,
Why
Do
am
you
I
want the
going
house or not?
over? Right,
my
like,
my top,
right. You're actually by adding 5,000, 985, by
yeah.
adding 5,000, now their offer is,
Okay, let's say masculine, let's say 985. Now I'm getting 957.
right, so it's 2,000 and some change more.
Yeah,
But I just, at the end of the day, like, it's hard to explain all of things. Of course, you can counter anything at any time, but if they ask you for proof, like,
right,
maybe they're willing to match it, but they're not willing to pay over, right? Like, how
right.
does, from the perspective of like, yeah, we're competing and we're stretching ourselves. If you have a better offer,
Yeah,
go with the better offer. Why are you countering me,
right. But in
asking me
this
for $2,000
scenario,
more than my clients actually wanted to pay?
well, because I've got something over here that get me 2,500 bucks more. So would you come up another 5,000 to make up the difference?
I just don't understand, why would you go with that? Why would you not go with the 955
Oh, well,
already?
we were assuming that this offer one had some lot better terms.
Oh, I
That
Yes.
I'm
see. I
sorry. I'm not,
see.
I wasn't clear on that.
Non-price terms
We
on
were
your.
I
saying,
see.
hey,
I
they'll close in
apologize.
30 days. They'll close in 23 days. They don't want a home inspection. Everybody wants an appraisal, but this one's just a little cleaner and I'm done in three weeks.
Got it.
So
My
let's go back to him and say, look, you're number two. Send him the sheet. You're number two right now. But at 985, you're green.
Yeah, this is a really good tool because let's say that number one was net $10,000 less, but it had really nice non-price terms.
Yeah.
And your client could decide, hey, have them cover half that difference. Come up 5,000 and I'm happy because
Yeah.
I get really good non-price terms. And this allows you to do some calculations
Yeah.
on net to the seller and be able to explain it potentially to a buyer agent who's not going to know if you just talk about this stuff. This,
Right.
again, gives a little bit more credibility because it's
Mhm.
using an NVAR
Right. Sheet.
sheet available to everybody and it's visible.
And if the calculation's off, I can say, hey, I know they say it's education purposes only, but we're all kind of assuming it's right. So I'm sending this over to you. It's not something I put together. Um, but if they agree to 980 in these numbers, they agreed to 980 in these numbers. And if I show them what the other offers are offering, and like, oh, okay. I said, what? And I'll just tell them what's really winning this for you is that you're waiving the inspection and you're closing in 3 weeks. The others not waiving the inspection and closing in
Yeah.
3 weeks.
No, that makes sense.
So I think that makes the transaction a little more transparent. Okay.
Anthony, on this same thing, the way you have it set up right now. How about your number three? I'm the listing agent. I go back to you and say, Anthony, you got a really chance to win this thing. Your 3% is killing me, buddy. You get a 2.5, you're in a better position.
Yeah.
What does that do? Oh, yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's
Gets him another
$4,500
$5,000.
right there to the seller.
Yeah.
It's 0.5%.
Because the guy on the right's not escalating. Buddy's getting 10 grand for his buyer, 0.5% on a 950. He's reducing his commission by 4,500 bucks or $5,000.
Right.
So that works right there. I mean, I think you can really, if you kind of understand what all these blanks do, you can play around with them and get really good at it. It's going to make your life a little easier when you're a listing agent with multiples. So, okay. All right. Great. My PowerPoint.
So I think I haven't done it yet, but I would imagine that even if it wasn't an escalation clause, you could use that to do comparisons as well.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to toss this over. I thought I had written this down in a PowerPoint, but I didn't. Shannon, we had the FinFay or FinSay or FinCin.
Vincent.
FinCin. Would you explain a little bit? This is starting to happen March 3rd, I believe.
First.
First.
March
So
1.
so that's I think that's Monday. And just real rough is this, and that is that the feds are now going to start looking closer at cash deals in real estate to ensure that people are not using real estate as a laundering mechanism for dirty money. So we're going to have title companies that have already been doing this. They've already been checking it out, but now it's becoming official. They have to do it. And Shannon, you got the mic.
Okay. Will you allow me to share?
Yes.
Okay. So FinCEN is not anything new. It's been part of BSA, Bank Secrecy Act, for some time. And in fact, banks have been reporting and on it for a while. But let me see if I can
I think
share
I've got
my-
it set for you to share. Let me know if it's
Okay.
not.
Do that. Yeah, here it is. This is what I want to share. So now we are having to also do it in title. I love how, the Fed makes a rule and then everybody else has to be the bad guy by enforcing it. But what it does, again, like Anthony said, is it tracks money laundering. And so one of the ways to clean money is to buy real estate. And so we have this one little page that kind of gives you the lowdown and dirty about what it is, when does it apply. And that's really what I think you guys are going to be most interested in, is if your client is a legal entity, an LLC, a corporation, a partnership, etc., and they are buying with cash, then we're going to ask additional information from them. And so we will be using, because we think it's so important, we want to give it to a I don't know, a person, an entity that only focuses on that. So we in the offices will be identifying when the contract comes in. We're going to identify, is this potentially FinCEN reportable or not? And then we will kick it to a third-party vendor that will then take care of collecting all of the detailed information from the buyer. And so what's going to have to be requested from the buyer is beneficial ownership information. And what that means is who really owns the business. Only a couple of times in title have I seen an LLC buy a piece of property that is actually owned by another LLC, but it does happen. And so what we want to know is who is the actual physical, real live, breathing human being that actually owns the business. And beneficial ownership requests information from any owner that owns 25% or more of the business. Okay. So they're going to look to gather beneficial ownership information by viewing corporate documents. And then they're going to ask for identification, which I don't personally see why anybody would have any problems supplying these days. But, what kind of identification do they have? Is it valid? And then entity and trust information, but that goes back to the corporate documents. So that's really what buyers are going to be asked for if they fall into this FinCEN reporting requirement. But certainly I can send this flyer to you if you're interested. And
Yeah, if you do that, I'd appreciate it. I'll send it out to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, and then if you happen to have a buyer that is an entity and wants to buy in cash, you can have a quick down and dirty with them saying, okay, I just want to let you know that because a government regulation has come into effect as of March 1, you're going to have to provide just a little bit more information. And it's really not a lot. It's not really more, it's just being looked at harder because we at the title company, if you're an entity buying, we've always asked for your corporate documents so that we know who's allowed to sign and if the ability to buy or sell is really granted.
And this is
Um,
only for buyer side, correct?
but this is only for buyers.
Got it.
Yeah, because sellers don't really come with a lot of cash,
And Shannon, this is purely just cash offers?
just cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of cash or all
Um,
cash? Does it matter?
Um, it does not matter. It's all cash.
Okay.
But I mean, do we really see like cash deals at like 20 and 30,000?
I mean,
No.
I've had couple that was putting like substantial money down, like let's say 500,000 on 750. So if it's a majority cash, but some financing, it would not apply.
If it's an institutional lender, it will not apply.
Because the institutional lender is going to find out where's this money coming from. They're going to
That's what I
season it.
thought.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought that actually the lenders put through their
Yep.
clients through this. But a lot of lenders don't lend, or at least my lenders that I work with, they don't lend money to LLCs. It has to be like an individual.
Right. Melanie, you have a question?
Shannon, so Shannon, sending this to a third party, how much extra time would they need to evaluate this stuff? And, would we need to extend closing like a couple extra days? Like I know with the couple that I've had, the cash buyers want to close in like 10 or 12 days. Would that have to be extended because of this external review?
So I want to tell you how kind and wonderful you are for asking that question, and taking into consideration all that we have to do. That's very, very sweet of you. So the answer is it shouldn't if your buyers understand that they're going to be contacted and we are requesting this information from them, as long as they are prudent about communication. And I mean, it doesn't have to take any additional time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think the key is proactive. Like if you say, oh, okay, you're buying with cash and you want to buy in your LLC, then just know that there's, a little extra work that needs to be done. And, you're going to be contacted from a partner from the title company to provide information. Just be ready. Get your corporate documents ready, get your IDs ready, so that when they ask, we're not falling behind.
Gotcha.
Good stuff. And guys, this is all cash deals, so it's only about 17-18% of the market. Then you got to look at, well, what's my personal market look like? Where do my buyers come from? So you may not ever run against this. You might run up against it as a listing agent and just let your seller know, hey, put this in your listing documents and give it to them. Hey, by the way, this is something that we may run into since 1 out of 5 or 6 houses are bought with cash. If it's an LLC with cash, then we may have to go through this, and we don't foresee any delay, but it could be a delay. All right.
So-
Anybody
But so
else?
Anthony, sorry,
Actually-
you said post this in the MLS
No, no,
for listing?
I'm saying use this form with
mean,
your
the
buyers and
document.
sellers. Yeah. Just let them know this is what's going on now in the real estate realm
Okay.
as part of your buyer or seller presentation or documents that they need to have, just so they know this is what we're facing if we get cash deals from an LLC.
Yeah, I got Shannon, I've got
Yeah.
a question for you. So, last year I had a cash buyer, foreigner LLC, and using their own, settlement company, obviously. It wasn't like Tom's Title and Towing, but it
But
was
they're
an entity catering to this particular, um, I shouldn't say demographic, nationality, I think is more accurate.
Language
Yeah,
group.
yeah, I got you.
In
I
a
got you.
situation like that, would that be an argument for doing a split settlement to have, say, UT looking at this as well? Or is that not really going to make that any better / different?
It's not going to make it any better or different because what's
Okay.
going to happen is remember there's only one title company,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so the title company is responsible
Okay.
for the reporting.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is there any potential blowback to a seller for
I mean,
a buyer using funds
Dirty
that-
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I'm
Not to put you on the spot or anything, but is there any, at least in the reporting requirements, is there any obligation on the part of the selling side of the transaction? Okay.
no, not when it comes to reporting.
Okay.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Good deal.
Okay.
Anything else?
Good stuff, Anthony. All of
Yeah,
it.
well, Shannon jumped on top of this. Hey, I got a whole presentation on this. They're like, please come in. This came from Rashana, and she says, "Hey, I think we want to talk about this tomorrow." I said, "Yeah, we do." And then I'm like, "Okay, I'll be up late looking for stuff." And then Shannon said, "Do you want me to address this? I got a flyer and everything." I said, "Yes, please." So of course you got a flyer. What was I thinking? All
Happy
right.
to answer any questions.
Yeah,
Shannon,
that's
can you
great.
do an all agent email on this? Because I think everybody should
Sure.
have
Yeah.
access to this flyer and just general
Yeah.
information and in case it comes up with a
Sure.
Yeah.
buyer
I'm-
client or we're working with sellers and the buyer's an LLC cash buyer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm happy to talk about it at team meeting or
Okay.
At lunch and learn. I don't think that it's an hour's worth of
Yeah.
content, but I
It's
mean,
not, but it's definitely key points that we need to be able to talk to people about.
yeah.
Especially
Yeah,
when
I'm
people
happy
want to
to.
buy, they buy and they want to flip and they're coming to the table with an LLC
Mhm.
with cash. We're like,
Yeah.
are you aware what's going to happen now? This is a federal thing.
And so
Or-
I did ask because in banking, if you have a client that repeatedly makes cash deposits because that's their type of business, you know, a lot of restaurants and gas stations. I mean, not as much anymore, but there was an exemption list that you could go to the Fed with and say, hey, we've vetted this client. They do repeat cash business. We're going to exempt them from BSA reporting. I asked if there was something similar in this regard because a lot of times, I mean, a lot of times you get the same clients, the same investor clients coming back and, you know, buy the next one and buy the next one. And no, I got the big NO. So the same information will have to be collected each time. So it's just better that those people prepare a folder with those documents and be ready to hand them over at the get-go.
It's a good advice to them if you have cash buyers that you've worked with to
Mhm.
send them a mailer. Say, hey, you guys need to be aware of this. So you need to have these in a folder on your desktop. your LLC documents, who the members are, just so you don't have to go look it up every time.
Mhm.
All right, I appreciate that. I've got to run, guys. I've got another appointment at 1 o'clock I got to travel to, but thanks for everybody coming out today. It was some really good stuff. Rashawn is going to put this on video, and then I'll send it out a link with the different topics we've talked about today because all of them have been really good. But